Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. I am your host. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some absolutely massive news regarding the upcoming government shutdown. Everybody around the country is talking about it. It is scheduled to take place tomorrow morning, September 30th. And folks, ladies and gentlemen, as it would seem, the congressional Democrats led by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as House Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, the two of them, perhaps the two biggest idiots in the country, they have walked right into President Trump's trap. They have taken his bait, hook, line, and sinker. And so, folks, today we have some absolutely massive news. Some stuff has just gone down in the last 35 or 40 minutes we're going to talk about right now today. So I want to go through all of that. Then, folks, stick around for today's entire broadcast, because at the end, we're going to talk about the twist and the bait and the trap that they have walked right into. And I think it's going to blow your mind. I have a feeling, listen, folks, if you're a Democrat, if you're a congressional Democrat, you are probably not feeling so good about this right now. Let's get right into the show, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe and like and follow. I appreciate all of that. Let's talk about what has gone down in the last 35 or 40 minutes, folks. To kick off the show, JD Vance says the government is likely headed into a shutdown. Trump and some of the senior ranking officials in the Trump administration and also congressional Republicans had a meeting. They just got out of a meeting with the senior ranking congressional Democrats. Trump's meeting with the congressional leaders ends on a pessimistic note. Republican and Democrat congressional leaders left a meeting with President Trump with no deal to avert a government shutdown as the deadline fast approaches. Folks, Trump has expertly positioned himself in a win-win scenario. He cannot lose. If the government shuts down, he wins. And we're going to talk about what that looks like here in a minute. And if the government stays open, likewise, he wins. He cannot lose in this scenario. Let's keep on talking about this. Leaders met with Trump on Monday for roughly an hour to negotiate a path forward to avert a partial government shutdown, but it appeared neither side was willing to budge from their position. Vice President JD Vance said after the meeting, "I think we're headed into a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing, and I hope they change their mind." Now, we have a clip. JD Vance actually spoke to the press. 2 minutes long. Take a look at this. We hear from the vice president himself.
We just had a very frank conversation with the Senate and House Democratic leadership. Look, the principle at stake here is very simple. We have disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it.
Now, real quick, folks, I'm going to let this finish here in just a moment, but why are the congressional Democrats trying to shut down the government? The reason why is because they are trying to pressure President Trump and the congressional Republicans to allow billions of dollars in health care funding for illegal aliens. And no, I am not joking. That is why this shutdown might happen. That is why Chuck Schumer is being such a stick in the mud here. By the way, just to give you folks a little bit of background information here, in order to avoid this shutdown tomorrow morning, we need 60 votes in the Senate to pass this new budget resolution here. You need 60 votes in the Senate. The Senate Republicans, there's only 53 of them. So 7 of the Senate Democrats need to swap sides and vote to keep the government open. Okay, Chuck Schumer is the leader of the Senate Democrats. He's trying to play hardball here and say, listen, Trump, I'm going to shut down the government unless you agree to give me tens of billions of dollars for healthcare costs for illegal aliens. Yeah, listen, buddy, we're not doing that.
If you look at what Chuck Schumer has said in the past consistently, it's whatever our disagreements are, let's negotiate with them. Let's talk about them. Let's figure out a bipartisan solution, but you don't shut the government down. In other words, you don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there. Now, we have to remember, they're very frustrated. They say that they're very frustrated about the fact that this negotiation has not taken place until today. But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care.
$1.5 trillion. I said a couple billion. Sorry, 1.5 trillion is what the Democrats want for healthcare costs for illegal aliens. That is what this is all about, folks. Yes.
While Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation. We thought it was absurd. We told them it was absurd, and now they come in here saying that if you don't give us everything that we want, we're going to shut down the government. We think that's preposterous. We think it's totally unacceptable, and we think the American people are going to suffer because these guys won't do the right thing. Now, I want to make one final point here. You will hear a lot from Senate Democrats, from House Democrats about the fact that American health care policy is broken. Well, we know that American health care policy is broken. We've been trying to fix it for the 8 months that we've been in office, but every single thing that they accuse about being broken about American health care is policy the Democrats have supported for the past decade. So if they want to talk about how to fix American health care policy, let's do it. The Speaker would love to do it. The Senate Majority Leader would love to do it. Let's work on it together, but let's do it in the context of an open government that's providing essential services to the American people. That's all that we're proposing to do, and the fact that they refuse to do that shows how unreasonable their position is. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing. I hope they change their mind, but we're going to see.
Seems like they are not, but we're going to find out. Now, we have a lot more to talk about, folks. But first, I just want to let everybody give a little reminder here, folks. The reason why in the United States here we struggle, we have some healthcare issues, we have some social service issues. You know, you look at some of these European countries, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, maybe they have some of these systems work a little bit better than ours. Well, at least they did up until recently. What changed? These European nations, they started taking in millions and millions, tens of millions of third world immigrants. If you've got too many people soaking up resources that should not be there, taking up taxpayer funding, you very quickly realize that it is impossible to have all of these nice social services like healthcare for everybody, whatever. It doesn't really work out. The numbers don't line up. That's just the truth. And so fundamentally, the reason why we have so many of the problems we have in this country, lack of health care for American tax-paying citizens, housing crisis, low wages across the country, it's because the Democrats have time and time again opened up the border. They have allowed tens and tens of millions of third world immigrants illegally into this country. Those people have to live somewhere. Those people are taking jobs from Americans. And also beyond that, they're driving down wages. They're taking up hospital beds. They're doing all this stuff. And so the reason why we don't get to have some of these nice, flashy things maybe we would like to have here in this country is because we have 50 million dependents that shouldn't even be in the country in the first place, these illegal aliens. And once again, what do you see here right now? You see the Democrats led by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He's saying, we are going to shut down the government unless you give us $1.5 trillion for healthcare costs for illegal aliens. Dude, get out of town, man. We are putting America first. We're taking the country back. We're not doing that anymore. This is what J.D. Vance just said. If you look at the original of what they wanted in this negotiation, it was $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying the American people need to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care. By the way, this number is not made up. We know in the year 2024, 2024, one state of California, they paid over $9 billion for the healthcare costs of illegal aliens. One state, 1 year, California, over $9 billion for the healthcare costs of illegal aliens that shouldn't even be in the country in the first place. Guess who's paying for that? You, me, all of us actual American citizen, hardworking taxpayers. We are subsidizing the existence of these people. And that's not even talking about other entitlements. A lot of them are collecting Social Security illegally, Medicaid payments illegally, subsidized housing illegally, okay? Yeah, there's a reason why we don't get to have a lot of these nice things. You have some of these Europeans that are saying, oh, over here in Europe, we have this and we have that. Yeah, well, do you have 50 million illegal aliens? No? Then shut up. We do. This is a problem we have to solve. Now, folks, we also hear, this is from House Majority Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I want him to weigh in on this because he gives his thoughts on this entire dynamic. He just spoke out here about 35 minutes ago. Take a look.
Thank you, Vice President Vance. I want to thank the President as well. They showed strong leadership today. They invited the 4 leaders over here because the President is operating in good faith, and he demonstrated that very well. The problem is that Chuck Schumer and Leader Jeffries refuse to acknowledge the simple facts. Let's review what the simple facts are. As the Vice President was saying, this is the common sense thing to do. This is the right thing to do. This is the simple thing to do. By way of review, the House is getting back to the way the regular appropriations process is supposed to work. 12 separate appropriations bills passed through the House Appropriations Committee, 3 off the floor. The Senate doing their work as well. All this in bipartisan fashion, by the way. They passed 3 bills in the Senate. Those bills don't match up exactly. So for the first time in years, since 2019, you have a conference committee that is being constituted between the House and the Senate. This is the way a bill becomes a law. They work out the differences. All this is happening in bipartisan fashion. The problem is we've run out of clock. September 30th is the end of the fiscal year, so we need a little more time. So what we did in the Republican majority is the right, responsible, simple thing. A clean, continuing resolution, a short-term, nonpartisan continuing resolution. It's only 24 pages in length.
So it just continues what has been going on. It doesn't add more. It doesn't remove anything. It's just like, hey, listen, let's avoid government shutdown catastrophe. Okay, and kind of just like kicking the can down the road a little bit. So maybe we have more time to come to an agreement. Well, the Democrats have decided once again, we're going to hold the country hostage so we can try to extort the American people out of $1.5 trillion for healthcare funding for illegal aliens.
Leader Thune has a copy if you want to see the exhibit. There's nothing partisan in here. No policy writers, none of our big party preferences, because we want to do the right thing by the American people and allow more time for negotiation. Now, there's a reason that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have come out here, stomped the feet, saying that they can't go along with this. They're trying to bring in extraneous issues. They issued a counter proposal. You should go take a look at what they requested. $1.5 trillion in new spending that is unrelated to the ongoing appropriations process. They wanted to, as you said, restore taxpayer-funded benefits, okay? Hard-working taxpayers in America. They want to take your funds and give that for benefits to illegal aliens. They want
these Democrats, I'm telling you, are the most shameless, absolutely anti-American, subversive, shameless people I've ever seen in my life. To put it into context again, they are extorting, they are threatening to shut down the government. They are going to bring this country to a grinding halt unless they are able to extort $1.5 trillion out of us, the American people, to subsidize the existence of illegal aliens that shouldn't even be here in the first place. Who let them in? They did. People like Chuck Schumer.
Want to restore that because we got rid of it. They want to prop up left-leaning media outlets. $500 million they threw in on top of that. $1.5 trillion on a 7-week stopgap funding measure. We're not going to do that. They know we can't do that. And we never have in the past. During the Biden administration, there were 13 threatened shutdowns. The Republicans in the minority did the right thing. We kept the government open. We're simply asking for the Democrats to do the same. Again, I want to thank President Trump for the strong, solid leadership. He listened to the arguments, and they just wouldn't acknowledge the simple facts. I want to thank Vice President here for showing his leadership as well. If the Democrats make the decision to shut the government down, the consequences are on them, and I think it's absolutely tragic. We've never said that was a good idea. We never believed it is. And I want you to remember, when we voted in the House, we passed it out of the House. The House has done its job. We did that almost 2 weeks ago. Every Democrat in the House except one voted to shut the government down. That is the record, and don't forget it.
So pretty much in order, like I said, in order to avoid this shutdown tomorrow, he just said every Democrat other than one voted to shut the government down. So that means they've got one on board. You need 60 votes to keep the government open, 53 Republicans. They've got one Democrat right now. That means they need 6 more Democrats to vote to keep the government open. If they can't get those 6 Democrat votes, then this government is getting shut down tomorrow morning. Now, folks, like I said, Trump here is in a win-win situation, and we are really going to break this down. Like I said, if the government stays open, then the Trump train, the America First agenda that he's been pursuing for the last 8 months, he just keeps on going along his merry way. Okay, he's got the funding he needs. He keeps on doing his thing. However, if the government shuts down, okay, certain aspects of the Trump, America First agenda here will be temporarily kind of kneecapped a little bit, but there's something else that Trump is able to do only if the government shuts down. Trump is in a win-win situation. Trump cannot lose. But before we take a look at that, before we break down that, take a look at Hakeem Jeffries here. He chimed in earlier today. He's the House Minority Speaker. I call him Dollar Store Obama.
Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate, and Donald Trump is the president. If the government shuts down, it's because Republicans have decided to shut the government down and hurt the American people.
Yeah.
And that's a point that we made loudly and clearly in that meeting. It was a frank and sharp discussion about the path forward. We made clear that we are ready, willing, and able over these next 36 or so hours to find a bipartisan path forward, to fund the government and avoid a shutdown.
To him, when he says bipartisan path, what that really means is, Trump, you're going to give us $1.5 trillion for illegal aliens to subsidize the healthcare costs of illegal aliens. Otherwise, the deal's off. That's what he means when he says bipartisan option. He means political extortion. He means extorting the American people out of their tax money. That's really what he means.
But any agreement must be bipartisan in nature, and it's got to meet the needs of the American people.
Once again, this is a continuing budget resolution. This is not some new budget they're trying to push through here. This is a temporary, a very short-term continuing budget resolution, meaning nothing is changing. The current budget that was originally passed by Biden, by the way, is the budget he's working with right now, that we have right now. This is Biden's budget. It's a continuation of that. And they refuse to vote for it. We need bipartisan. No, listen, it already is kind of bipartisan. What you want is to extort money out of the American taxpayers to fund a bunch of illegal aliens. That's what you want.
In terms of their health, safety, and economic well-being.
I got to tell you, Hakeem, you're not as smart as Obama. I'm not saying Obama is a genius here. We all know Obama is no genius, but man, you are no Obama. Real quick, I want to take a look at some super chats real quick. This is from John. He says, Matt, I keep missing your shows. Finally glad I caught you. I'm glad you caught me too. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to drop a follow, subscribe. Mr. John Mitchell Jr., I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that a lot. Real quick, we have a massive bombshell super chat. Pow wow my pants, $100 super chat. He says, the current Democrat Party's strategy is the definition of subversion of democracy. America spoke, and so far I'm not getting tired of winning. I just don't know how we got out of this civil strife phase anytime soon. You know, I'll tell you what, I couldn't agree more. We had an election. We voted. The American people decided to give the Republicans the House and the Senate and 34, I believe, of these state governorships and the White House, the presidency. And still the Democrats, people like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, they are acting like they are the representatives here of the will of the American people. It's just not true. The only will that they are representing is the will of illegal aliens. That is it. Now, folks, I have an article here I want to go through with you, giving some more context here real quick. Congressional Democrats appear hell-bent on shutting down the government to prevent a short-term extension of spending levels originally set by a Democrat president. That's Joe Biden. Bipartisan, my behind. Democrats' gambit to force a shutdown would temporarily please a radical base that has caused increasing personal political peril for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. You've got these far-left radicals within the Democrat Party, people like Ilhan Omar, people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that are, they are the fringe far left. They really represent nobody, but they are very loud. They're saying, you're not doing enough. You got to fight President Trump. You need to stand up and fight. And so maybe we're seeing a little bit of political theater here. I'll tell you what, though, like I said, these guys, they have walked right into President Trump's trap. We're going to go over that here in a minute. If they keep this political theater going on very much longer, then Trump is going to make an absolutely stunning victory. And I'll tell you what that looks like here in a minute. Yet, with no apparent path of a shutdown in which Democrats secure meaningful wins, and with the shutdown presenting the Trump White House with the authority to enact widespread cuts through the executive branch, the long-term benefits for the Democrat Party are difficult to determine. Keep that in mind. Widespread cuts through the executive branch. We're going to be talking about that here in a minute. Any exit ramp for the Democrats is likely to be bumpy, and whatever road it takes them down will lead to an even more empowered and emboldened Trump White House. Like I said, folks, we do not lose. Are you tired of winning yet? I'm not. Jeffries, Schumer, Senate Minority Leader John Thune, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, they met with President Trump this afternoon. We just saw a report coming out of that. Meeting didn't go that well. Seems like this shutdown is going to happen. The House of Representatives passed a clean continuing resolution September 19th, 10 days ago, to continue current spending levels until November 21st, to give them a little bit more time to come up with a new budget. Those spending levels were, guess what, originally passed during Joe Biden's presidency and were extended through the end of the current fiscal year, September 30th. That's today. So once again, the budget that Trump has currently been working with was Biden's budget. It was signed off on by Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, but all of a sudden, now that Trump is in the White House, instead of Biden being in the White House, now they have a problem with it. When just about a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, they fought tooth and nail to get this budget. They loved this budget. Now, somehow things have changed. What changed, Mr. Schumer? Senator Schumer? Okay. Democrats, in messaging against the bill, are leaning heavily on health care, a rare issue they see as providing them an opportunity in the 2026 midterm elections. Like I said, it's all political theater. These guys don't get. Listen, do you think Chuck Schumer gives one, pardon my language, one shit about the American people? Do you think Hakeem Jeffries gives one shit about you, American? Me, American? Good one. They've often used the term Republican healthcare crisis in arguing against the short-term spending bill, which includes no new provisions affecting healthcare. Most notably, Democrats want to use the 7-week bill to extend Obamacare subsidies that do not expire until the end of 2025. This is just insane. The word I like to use here is weaponization. Weaponization of the government, weaponization of the FBI, weaponization of the DOJ. The degree to which these radical Democrats care about the Constitution, the government, is the degree to which they can use these things against us, against you, tax-paying American. The degree to which the Democrats care about free speech is the degree to which they can weaponize it and abuse it and use it against you, American citizen. Let the record show the degree to which they care about the federal government is the degree to which they can use it against you. Now, I believe I had a video of John Thune, but we're going to hear from Chuck Schumer first. This is Chuck Schumer himself. Once again, immediately after this meeting, take a look at what he had to say. Chuck Schumer.
Out to the president some of the consequences of what's happening in healthcare. And by his face and by the way he looked, I think he heard about them for the first time. The closing of rural hospitals. The fact that so many clinics are closing. And I don't know if he knew this before, but the fact that people will pay $4,000 more a year, $400 more a month, close to $5,000 more a year on their health care premiums if we don't do anything. And people don't know what to do. The average working family can't afford that. I told him how I met a mother who was crying to me because her daughter had cancer. And what has happened with health care, with what they have done, she's going to watch her daughter suffer and maybe die. And so he seemed to, for the first time, understand the magnitude of this crisis.
Yeah.
And we hope he'll talk to the Republican leaders and tell them we need bipartisan input on health care.
Okay, now, folks, three major claims here if you don't count the child with cancer here. Four claims, three of which are 100% factually incorrect lies. The fourth one I would speculate is a lie. I don't know if you guys saw, a couple months ago, there was this big expose. Some detectives put this together. Chuck Schumer, for the last 30 years, has been, God, I forget their names. Chuck Schumer created this fake family like the Robinsons or something, and he's been talking his entire political career for like 30 years. He's been talking about this fake family that he invented. They don't even exist. And the Robinsons can barely pay for food because of their Republicans. And the Robinsons, their kid is going to die because they're Republicans and blah. And some people looked into this and it's like, dude, this family that you're talking about, that you've been talking about for 30 years, they don't even exist. Some people, they put together all of this. They cross-reference the entire thing. It's like, you've just been lying about this imaginary American family that you are allegedly super close to. They don't even exist, Chuck Schumer. If Chuck Schumer's mouth is open, if he is talking, he is lying. This man is a liar. He is a true and through liar is what he is. And he's weaponizing the government against us right now, against the American people now, to try to extort money out of us to pay for the healthcare costs of illegal aliens. And he's one of them that let him in the first place. Take a look at this massive super chat from Raya, one of my favorite viewers. Thank you very much. She says, great to be back. Thank you for your time, work, and speaking the truth. I love your show and the Patriots here. God bless America. God bless America. The live chat, the four different live chats, Matt Morris TV on Kick, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I'm happy you're back. Thank you for being here. Folks, what do you say we really get to the big bombshell? We're almost there. We're almost there. Folks, let's get to the big bomb. You know what? Let's just get to it. Okay, listen. Let's talk about what happens if the government shuts down. Let's just get to the real meat of today's video. Massive breaking news. Over 100,000 federal employees are reportedly set to resign tomorrow in the largest mass resignation in United States history under President Trump's plan to cut the federal workforce. Now, folks, this is even better than it sounds. I have some extra information here. I did some research into this. The U.S. is set for the largest mass resignation in history. Take a look at this. I'm going to read through my notes here for you guys. These resignations, we're talking about 100,000 of them scheduled for tomorrow. These are not some coordinated act of defiance against President Trump by 100,000 members of the federal government. No, this is, in fact, to the contrary, this is 100,000 cases of complete and total capitulation. What do I mean by that? These federal workers have been deemed unnecessary federal workers, unnecessary, and Trump has been trying to get rid of these 100,000 federal workers for 9 months now. And now, only that the federal government is going to shut down potentially tomorrow, only now is he able to actually get rid of them. So they're not all like, oh, we're you know what, Trump, screw you, we're resigning. It's a little bit different. I've got more information for you here. These unnecessary federal employees are actually going to be forced to participate in President Trump's deferred resignation program called the DRP, which was created by executive order, Trump's executive order, earlier on, maybe 7 or 8 months ago when he first stepped back into the White House. And this is a program that was really propelled and catapulted into existence by the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE. And what it does is it compels these useless federal employees to leave their job, and it gives them a small stipend on the way out. It said, hey, listen, you're fired. Here's a little severance package, kind of. little stipend, you are gone. And now it's going to be compelled because the government is getting shut down. So they're getting fired. Everybody's reporting this as saying they are set to resign. They're resigning. Yeah, not really. They're getting kicked. Their ass is getting kicked. Trump, pardon my language here. Trump is about to kick 100,000 asses to the curb tomorrow morning. That is what is happening. Now, inquiring minds want to know, how much money is this going to save? What is the value here? What is the yearly value of 100,000 federal employees? They are gone starting tomorrow. How much money are we, the American taxpayers, saving right here? I did the math on this. I looked into it. Any guesses? About $14 billion a year. By getting rid of these 100,000 useless, do-nothing federal employees. By the way, real quick, not every single federal employee is useless. We do have some good federal employees. We do. Some necessary that we need to have them. Not these ones, though. Not these ones. These ones are useless. Now, 100,000 federal employees, $14 billion will be saved going forward every year by nature of getting rid of these people. That is a hell of a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Okay, that is a big deal. So this is what we are going to be seeing today. So folks, at the start of today's broadcast, when I said, folks, doesn't matter what happens here, the government stays open, America First agenda, full steam ahead, no problem, no speed bumps, keep it going. Trump wins. Government shutdown, temporary government shutdown. Okay, well, we're cutting out 100,000 federal employees. They are the useless federal employees. Trump's been trying to get rid of them for 9 months now. Finally, we have the option, get rid of them, and we are going to save the American taxpayer $14 billion a year. Like I said, it's win-win, win-win-win. The White House is planning for mass layoffs if the government does indeed shut down, using the opportunity of a funding lapse to remove even more federal employees. Chuck Schumer is losing big right now. Shut the government down and Trump fires all of these bureaucrats. Keep the government open and Chuck Schumer, you have caved to President Trump. You have capitulated. Take a knee. Take a knee, Chuck Schumer. Come on. Don't be shy. And the America First agenda that we all voted for is full steam ahead. The memo, we've got a little report here from the Washington Post. The memo from the White House Office of Management and Budget directs agencies to consider firing employees working on any program that is not funded by another law, such as the Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill, and which does not align with the president's priorities. So if you are, once again, hey, if you are one of these subversive federal employees that has been doing everything you can on the inside, you're a member of the Washington, D.C. swamp, you've been trying to subvert the America First agenda, halt President Trump's objectives here, guess what? You're getting kicked to the curb tomorrow. Goodbye. Once government funding is reinstated after a shutdown, agencies should revise their plans to keep only the smallest number of employees necessary to legally operate. If you're a small government type of guy, libertarian, I don't know, constitutional conservative, I think a lot of us here, okay, if you're a fan of the small government, this is a dream come true, what is happening right now. Because it's like two options here. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, would you prefer to win or would you prefer to win? Choose wisely. Well, and you know what? Here's the deal. There's a scenario where we actually have both options. Like actually that is the inevitable scenario. The options are win, option A, win, and option B, win. We're going to have both of those because what will very likely happen is that the government will shut down for a couple days or a week or two. Trump will get rid of all of these 100,000 waste of space federal employees. Then after a week or two, the government's going to reopen again. And then it's the Trump America First agenda continues on. No problem at all, as if nothing ever happened. So I think it's not win-win. I think it's a double win. It's a double win scenario is what we are watching. Yeah, we are by winning. We are by winning. Remember that, Charlie Sheen? So, folks, I'll tell you what, that is going to conclude today's report. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here today. Like I said, we've got good news. Everybody make sure to drop a follow, a like, a subscribe. We are Matt Morris TV on YouTube, on Rumble, on Kick. We are on Twitch. We are everywhere these days. Thank you very much. Folks, I have a feeling we might be doing an emergency broadcast tomorrow morning if/when the government does shut down. So keep an eye out for that. I think tomorrow is going to be a pretty eventful morning. So keep your eyes peeled. You know, by the way, the best way to keep your eyes peeled is to follow my X page right there, Matt Morris TV on X. That helps a lot, goes a long way. So follow on X. And folks, everybody have a great night. Buy winning is what is happening right now. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. God bless all of you everywhere, wherever you might be. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great night. I'll see you folks probably tomorrow morning. So everybody have a great night. I'll see you folks tomorrow morning. I would speculate. And until then, everybody stay safe and, of course, have a good time. Thank you folks very much.